So today we are going to look at doing some comps, some CMA reports, and there are a few different reasons why you may need to do a CMA. If you have a buyer that's interested in a property and you want to make sure it's a fair price, or if they need to offer a little below or above asking price, you can use the same method of looking at what the surrounding area says the houses in that same price range, or I'm sorry, in that same size and area, what the price range would be. Today what I'm going to do is do the prep work for going into a listing appointment. So when you say that you're going to have a listing with a client, you're going to want to ask them bedroom, bathroom count. It's kind of hard to get the upgrades, but for the seller, you might ask them to send you some pictures, and you want to do some beginning research, and then hopefully when you go to the house you can get even a better idea of what it is. But for my clients, I pulled up the PVA report of the house that they're wanting to list, and so I have the information here that has their square footage. Again, when you list you'll have that measured, but for these purposes of just comparing, we want to look at that. Also, for these people, these are investors, and so I do know the quality of their work, and they put in granite and new hardwood floors, and they really give it the works. So it's a 3-bed, 1-bath, but it's also very, very upgraded as far as finishes, and it's going to look like a brand new house. So that's important to know. Of course, if you don't know these people, you might have to be a little bit conservative with what you think it's going to look like unless you see pictures. So what you do as far as just running some comps is I typically go to quick search and then start narrowing down. So everyone has kind of their different method for this. Typically I first go to zip code, and so this is something important to know. So their mailing address is not the same as Goldsmith Lane's, since they're investors and own it. So the actual zip code for Goldsmith Lane is 40218. So that gets us in the roundabout range. And then we want to actually look a little bit closer as to where we're going to be. So you see Goldsmith Lane right here. I'm trying to remember which side it's on. So you can always go here. See if it'll bring up the maps of Google Maps and let us see exactly where it's at. So it's on this side of Bardstown Road. And again, some properties you're going to get a little bit more specific. On location, I do happen to just know in this area that this side of Bardstown Road is very different than the other side. So I'm going to kind of draw a roundabout area of kind of where this house on Goldsmith Lane is right there. So we've kind of got a pretty good area of what it is. Now there's not an exact science for this. A lot of people try and stay within around 1 mile. You can just do the whole zip code, but of course if you know Bardstown Road, down here is going to be a lot higher expensive areas than where I'm at. So just, again, a few things to keep in mind. Then what I do is I go down here and I want to see all of the different types of statuses, because if it's a canceled listing, that's important. If it's a closed listing, that's really what we're looking for. And so you can see that I've gotten a pretty good amount. So I'm just going to delete this portion down here because we've got enough up in this section. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on the polygon and say edit shape. I'm just going to take this in just a little bit. So that narrows down my options even more. And then we're going to go to square foot finish. This one doesn't have a basement, and so I'm going to go a little above this since, again, it is nicer finishes. And I am going to just want to compare to other one bathrooms, because a 2 bathroom is going to make a big difference in general. So you can see here we've still got 40 results. Basement, you can say, this is a good thing to note, you can say if it has a partial or a finish. You can also say if it has none, basement of none. So we're saying, hey, ours doesn't have a basement. We want to see basements that also don't have a basement. A trick on the MLS, you could also click this or and say not of none. So if I only wanted houses to show up that have a basement, I would say not of none. You can see here, just while we're doing this, most houses in this area don't have a basement. There's only 9 that have a basement. So we're saying of none, we've got 31. So that's a pretty good start on that. If you wanted, you can do property subtype, just single family. We don't want any condos or anything like this. And this, that's going to be an important one there. So that narrowed it down quite a bit too. Let's see what we've got. So again, because I know that these are very, very nice finishes, that it's very upgraded, what I'm going to do is I'm going to filter these and I'm going to do a descending price list, because I know that they would be kind of in the top end of what things could go for, just because of how high quality that their work is. So, so let's look at this one and see. So looking through the pictures, they've got hardwood floors, they've got a garage, you know, decent backyard, it's all pretty clean. In the details, it's 1,200 square feet, so a little bit bigger. This one is 1,061 square feet, so the same, about the same as us. If we go to the photos, we can see that it's not been renovated, really. I mean, it's not in bad shape, but it's definitely not super renovated. And so that we're going to mark. Go ahead and mark that one too. This 145. On the details, it's about the same size. It's got some renovations as far as the floors. Bathroom is older style. Hardwood. I don't know if those are real hardwood or not. So we'll click that one. That one's not giving us a whole lot, but you can see a lot of these houses are kind of in this size range, so that's good. It's not like all the rest of the houses, it's going to be abnormally smaller than the rest. So this one doesn't show that great. I mean, you know, the backyard isn't really anything, so we've kind of got our threshold here. I would say minimum, you know, we've got 145, max we've probably got 160. Let's look at this one. This one was canceled, which doesn't give us a whole lot because we're wondering why it didn't close. Again, doesn't show great, but bathroom is outdated, all these different things that will make their property more attractive, so that's good. So let's say I feel good about these 3 comps that I have. So now some people get 15 comps, some people get 3 or 4. I'd say around 5 is good to have for this type of a listing appointment. And again, we could expand just a little bit and see if we could get some more. If I could get, it would be nice if I could get a renovated house. Yep. Click shape to begin editing then. Okay, so let's expand a little bit more and see if I can get a few more comps. The good thing is that there are also not a lot of active properties, so hopefully that's less competition, so when they go to sell they might have a little bit more of a chance of selling quickly. So let's see if this brought up any new properties. It's all about the same. This one's active under contract. Okay, so we feel good with our 3. So I'm going to go to the selected. These 3 are what I'm going to use, and I'm going to go to CMA right up here. Use selected. So there are a few different that you can use. The full CMA is if you have a previous listing that you can compare it to, or if you have an active listing to compare it to. We'll go through that exercise. The quick CMA is what I'm going to use just because it's kind of a very good brief synopsis of all of them. So we're going to see how far they are. You could do a cover page just for when you're going into a listing appointment. Typically we don't want to display the price recommendation just because that may be different than what you're recommending. And then we're going to view. So this brings them all kind of side by side to show what the median is. It also shows you days on market, so you can see, all right, well, this one, that was even more expensive was only in the market 10 days, so what does that mean compared to this one that was even a little bit less expensive, but it was on the market for 62, so did it show better? It's also good if you're going to go into a listing appointment to email your client the pictures of your comps, just so that they can run through there and see, okay, yes, well, my house is more updated than this one, or I need to really do a lot of cleaning to get it show ready. So this is a good way. And then this report, if you go back here, you could download it, email it, save it. That's just a great way to run some comps on that, and then it prints you this nice report that you can take with you. So yeah, that's kind of the CMAs for if you have a listing appointment, kind of looking through how to find that area, and then we'll talk through listing appointments at a later time, but you would just want to show them these comps, kind of give them a range, and after you actually see their house, then go from there. So that is comps.